Hello to teacher and everyone, my name is Louise T Caluyo and I'm the leader of the group 4 together with my members Christian Abong, Daven Adion, Ivan Barjose, Daniela Rose Montalban, Ronaldin Opiera, and Nur-Ain D. So our lesson is all about selection control structures and statements. The learning outcomes. The student will able to identify the different selection control structures in C++, explain the syntax of if statement, code and execute an actual if statement, explain the syntax of if-else statement, and also code and execute an actual if statement. Same thing as the nested if-else and the switch case statement. Introduction. Control structures form the basic entities of the structured programming language. C/C++ or Java are all structured programming languages. Control structures are used to alter the flow of execution of the program. Why do we need to alter the program flow? The reason is decision making. Use control structures to make decisions and alter the direction of the program flow in one or another or other paths available. There are three types of control structures available in C and C++. The first is the sequence structure, straight line paths. Second is the selection structure or one or many branches, and the third one is the loop structure, also known as the repetition of the set of activities. Keep in mind that one important fact. All program processes can be implemented within three control structures only. To implement these control structures in a C/C++ program, the language provides control statements. To implement a particular control structure in a programming language, you need to learn how to use the relevant control statements in that particular language. Control statements are switch. The first switch. Second is if. Third is if else. Fourth is while. Fifth is do while. And last one is for. Selection structures are implemented using if else, and switch statements. Looping structures are implemented using while, do while, and for statements. Selection structures are used to perform decision making and then branch the program flow based on the outcome of decision making. Selection structures are implemented in C/C++ with if else, and switch statements. If and if else statements are two-way branching statements, whereas switch is a multi-branching statement. And lastly, for the introduction, C++ if else, and nested if else. In computer programming, we use the if statement to run a block code only when a certain condition is met. For example, assigning grades A, B, and C based on marks obtained by a student. If the percentage is above 90, assign grade A. If the percentage is above 75, assign grade B. If the percentage is above 65, assign grade C. There are three forms of if-else statements in C++. First one is the if, second is the if-else, and third is the if-else statement. So that's all for the introduction for this topic.
Good day each and everyone. My name is Christian Abong and I am the Group 4 reporter. We're talking about Computer Programming 1, course title, Lesson 4, Selection Control Structure and Statements. Focus lesson important concept. Number 1, Introduction, if statement, and number 2. Number 3, if else statement. Number 4, nested if else statement. Number 5, switch case statement. My report is all about C++ if statement. The syntax of if statement is if condition or body of it statement. and the if statement evaluates the condition inside the parentheses. If the condition evaluates to true and the code inside of the body of if it's executed. If the condition evaluates to false, the code inside the body of if is skipped. Example 1. C++ if statement. Program to print positive number entered by the user. If the user entered a negative number, it is skipped, include IOStream, or using space suit std. Note, the code inside the parentheses is the body of the if statement. Here, I will tackle about the figure 1, the if statement. Condition is true or the condition is false. What is the example of condition is true? In number 5 equals to 5, or if number less than to 0, and the code after it if the condition is false. In number equals to 5, or if number greater than 0. That's all po. And the figure 2, the if statement flowchart. Condition, if it is true, by the going right side is all about statement, and the false is going through straight, and if. Here the example of if statement C++ coding. Output 1. Enter an integer 5. You enter a positive number 5. This statement is always executed. When the user enters 5, the condition number less than 0 is evaluated to true and the statement inside the body of it is executed. Output 2. Enter a number negative 5. This statement is always executed when the user enters negative 5. The condition numbers less than 0 is evaluated to false and the statement inside the body of it is executed. Here the example of if statement coding. Here I will show you how to use if statement C++ coding. Yes. First thing you need is to copy paste the coding of each statement, and I will show you what is the if statement coding, like the positive number or the negative number. Here, pinutin mo muna yung run code. Yan, may lumalabas yan. Pag error, wala yan, di yan lumalabas. Or if it is the code is correct, or it will run. Tapos I will type some numbers that can show the positive numbers. Here I will put the positive 5. What you see is you enter a positive integer 5. This statement is always executed. Alright, then I will go back. Pindutin ko ulit yung run. Pindutin natin kung magkaparehas ba sila ng yung positive, then yung tinatawag dito yung negative numbers. Here lagay ko ng negative 5 kung anong lalabas ng number. Yun, sinasabi dito, this statement is always executed. Yun na, di sila makaparehas ng ng positive and negative number.
Hello once again, I'm Louise T. Caluyo and a student of BS INFOTECH-1D here in Zamboanga, Peninsula Polytechnic State University. So to continue our discussion, let's talk about the if-else statement in C++. If-else statement. The if statement can have an optional else clause. Its syntax is if and then the condition, open brace, then / block of code if condition is true, then close brace, followed by the else, then open brace again, then double slash, and the block of code if the condition is false, then close brace again. The if-else statement evaluates the condition inside the parentheses. So it is in this statement, it is also evaluate if you encode what is something is true or not. Here is the how you can demonstrate it using the C++ in the figure 03. And the figure 04 is the flow chart of how the flow of the statement is. If the condition evaluates true, the code inside the body of if is executed, and the code inside the body of the else statement is skipped from the execution. If the condition evaluates false, it is vice versa. So the code of the body of the else is executed, and the code inside of the body is skipped from the execution. So here's our example to code in C++. So example 2 is to program to check whether an integer is the positive or negative. So here are the following codes. If you can follow here on C++, and you can put it in C++. So the first output is the positive integer. So if the example code can run, you can enter an example integer which is 4. And then when you enter the integer, magraran yan siya ng magsasabi you entered a positive integer 4. So this line is always printed. In the above program, we have the condition number which is greater than 0. If we enter the number greater or equal to 0, then the condition evaluates true. Here, we enter 4, so the condition is true, hence the statement inside the body of if is executed. So here is the result of the code of the example code that I ran. So the second output here is the negative integer which is negative 4. So here we enter negative 4, so the condition is false. Hence the statement inside the body of else is executed. So here is the result for the else. And that's it for this part, and the next reporter will be discuss their next report. So next reporter.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Daven A, and this is my report. In lesson 4, selection control structures and statements. Focus lesson and important concept. Number 1, introduction. Number 2, if statement. Number 3, if else statement. Number 4, nested if else statement. And number 5, switch case statement. Introduction. Control structures form the basic entities of a structured programming language. C, C++, or Java are all structured programming languages. Control structures are used to alter the flow of execution of the program. Why do we need to alter the program flow? The reason is decision making. Use control structures to make decision and alter the direction of a program flow in one or the other paths available. There are three types of control structures available in C and C++. Number 1, sequence structure, straight line paths. Number 2, selection structure, one or many branches. Number 3, loop structure, repetition of a set of activities. And this is my example of sequence. Let's start with sequence. Most programming language simply execute instruction one after another as they are read, much like reading a receipt or a book. Here's a simple C++ program that prompts the user to enter their age and then reads what they type in on the keyboard into a variable and then displays by to the display console. So, ayan. All programming language have structure and syntax that we have to follow so that the program is legal. But that's not important right now, so don't worry about the details of the code. Let's focus on the big picture. The code on the line 8 and 9, 8, 9, and 10 are what we are interested in. What's important is that you can see the order or sequence of the operations. Number 1, we prompt the user to enter their age. Number 2, we read the integer they entered and store it in a variable named age. And lastly, we display by. Run this program several times and enter different ages. Make sure to enter a whole number since that's what the program expects. Pretty boring, right? Yes, but the computer is doing exactly what we are telling it to do. That was pretty easy. But if we were only limited to sequence, our programs would be very limited indeed. We have to have a way to make decisions based on certain conditions. The next one is selection. Now let's modify this program so that it can decide whether a person can vote. We'll assume that a person must be 18 years or older to vote. So let's see how selection works. We'll add logic so that if the age entered is 18 or greater, then the program will display you can vote. And if the age entered is less than 18, then the program will display sorry, you can vote. See the selection? We are selecting which operation to execute depending on what the value of age is. Pretty simple and useful too. Let's do it. So this is the code. So yeah, notice that on the line 11 we added an if-else statement. If the expression in the parenthesis is true, then we display you can vote. But what if the person age is not greater than 18? That's where the else on the line 14 comes in. In this case, we display sorry you can vote yet. We made a yes, no, or true or false decision and we selected the operation to execute based on that decision. That was pretty easy. Notice how we combine sequence and selection to make our program more useful. Iteration. But suppose there are 3 voters and we would like to ask each of them what their age is. We could copy and paste the code 3 times, right? Sure, but if we had 1,000 voters, the program would grow very large and become very hard to follow and change. That's where iteration comes in. We can use a loop to iterate 3 times. Programming languages all allows iteration and many provide multiple ways to iterate. Let's do it using a very simple for loop in C++. So this is the code. Notice that our original code is still there. We have not changed it, but we now added a new operation on the line 7 that tells the program to count from 1 to 3 and execute everything from lines 9 to 15 that many times. So now we will be asked to enter the ages for 3 voters and each time we'll know whether a voter can vote or not. Now our program is using sequence to provide the order in which we execute our instructions. Selection to allow decision to be made, iteration to loop or repeat our instructions as many times as we need. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Nur-Ain D Timbasal and I'm going to discuss the C++ nested if-else. Sometimes we need to use an if statement inside another if statement. This is known as nested if statement. Think of it as multiple layers of if statements. There is a first, outer if statement, and inside. Inner if statement. Its syntax is outer if statement, if condition 1 statements, inner if statement, if condition 2 statements, else condition 2. So this is the syntax of C++ nested if else. This program defines an integer variable age with the value of 25. The outer if else statement checks if age is greater than or equal to 18. If the outer condition is true, it enters the block and prints you are eligible to vote. Inside the positive block, there is a nested if else statement checking if age is greater than or equal to 21. If age is greater than or equal to 21, it prints and you can also purchase alcohol. Otherwise, it prints but you cannot purchase alcohol. So if the outer condition if false, i.e. age is less than 18, it enters the else block and prints you are not eligible to vote.
Hi everyone, I'm Daniela Montalban and this is my part of this report. Example, C++ nested if. C++ program to find if an integer is event odd or neither 0. Using nested if statement, this example. Output 1. Enter an integer 34. The number is event. This line is always printed. Output 2. Enter an integer 35. The number is odd. This line is always printed. Output 3. Enter an integer 0. The number is 0 and it is neither event or odd. This line is always printed. The inner if else statement check whether the input number is divisible by 2 if true. Then we print a statement saying that the number is event. If false, we print that the number is odd. Notice that 0 is always divisible by 2, but it is actually not an event number. This is why we first make sure that the input number is not 0 in the outer of conditions. Body of if else with only one statement. If the body of if else has only statement, you can omit in the program. This example. Nested if else statement allow for more complex divisions making by providing additional conditions. To evaluate, in this example, the program first checks if x is greater than y, if x is less than y, and finally, if neither condition is true. It assumes that x is equal to y. 1. We declare two integer variables x and y and initialize them with values. Second, the if statement checks if x is greater than y. If true, it is execute that corresponding block and print a message. Third, if the condition in the first if is false, it moves to the else of statement, which checks if x is less than y. If true, it executes the corresponding block and prints a different message. Fourth, if both conditions are false, the program enters the else block. which execute if none of the preceding conditions are true. In this case, it prints a message indicating that x is equal to y.
The switch case statement, a multiple branching statement where the control is transferred to one of the many possible conditions by checking the value of variable or an expression. The switch statement consists of different cases inside and the statements inside the case matching the condition is executed. If no cases are matched, the statement inside default block or executed. Switch case are similar to if statement, but when a large number of conditions are to be checked, switch case is more suitable than the statement. It reduces program easier to understand. In such case, syntax of switch case, syntax a switch variable or expression, case value 1 statement break, case value 2 statement break, case value n statement break, default statement break. The switch statements allow us to execute a block of code among many alternatives. The syntax of the switch statement in C++ is switch expression. Case constant 1, code to be executed if expression is equal to constant 1, tapos break. Case constant number 2, code to be executed if expression is equal to constant 2, tapos break. Default, code to be executed if expression does not match any constant. How does the switch statement work? The expression is evaluated once n compared with the values of each case label. If there is no match, the corresponding code after the matching label is executed. For example, if the value of variable is equal to constant 2, the code after case constant 2 is executed until the break statement is encountered. If there is no match, the code after default is executed. Note, we can do the same things with the if, else, if ladder. However, the syntax of the switch statement is cleaner and much easier to read and write. Example, to create a calculator using the switch statement. Program to build a simple calculator using switch statement. Number sign include iOS stream using namespace std, ain't main, ain't number 1, number 2, cout, enter an operator, cin operator, cout, enter two numbers, cin num1, num2, switch oper, case plus, cout num1 plus num2 equals to break case, cout num1, num2, num1, num2, break case, cout num1, num2, num1, num2, break case, num1, num2, default operator does not match any case constant, cout, error of the operator is not correct, break. Output 1, enter an operator, enter two numbers, 213, num1, 4.5, num2, 4.3 plus 4.5 equals to 6.8. Output number 2, enter an operator, enter two number, 213, 415, 213 minus negative 4.5 equals to negative 2.2. Output 3, enter an operator, enter two number, 213, 2.5, 2.3, 4.5 equals to 10.35. Output 4, enter an operator, enter two number, 2.3, 2.5, 4.5, 3.3 plus 4.5 equals to 0.111. Output 5, enter an operator, enter two numbers, 213, 4.5, error, the operator is not correct, In the above of the program, we are using switch case statement to perform an additional, subtraction, multiplication, and division. How this program works. First, we first prompt the user to enter a desired operator. This input then stored in the char, variable name or operator. We then prompt the user to enter two numbers, which stored in the float variable num1 and num2. 3. The switch statement is then used to check the operator entered by the user. If the user enter plus addition is performed on the numbers. If the user enters subtraction is performed on the numbers. If the user enter multiplication is performed on the numbers. If the user enters division is performed on the numbers. If the user enters any other character, the default code is printed. Notice that the break statement is used to inside each case block. This terminates the switch statement. If the break statement is not used, all cases after the correct case are executed.
And now we are done with our report. And hopefully you can have a great day today.